coming to New York and wanting to do film, I had no connections or background. I didn't know where to go. And it was the person who had hired me there who told me, go to the Manhattan Edit Workshop, take the 6-week course, learn to edit, get into post-production. He's like, you will be more valuable, you'll find more opportunities, you will be paid more.
That's always the best thing for us is if you come out of the class and you can find a home and get to work and be happy and grow as an artist, that's like we've done our job.
I get a lot of people reach out to me and just ask for advice. I tell everyone to go to the workshop.
Hey everyone, I'm Rafi Salem back with another edition of Manhattan Edit Workshop's Talking MEWShop. The crowd goes wild. Today we have an amazing special guest, Sophia Grimbaum Flores. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Thank you. And as usual, we have the two and only Josh Apter and Jason Banky from Manhattan Edit Workshop. Josh, please take it away.
All right. Well, at first I wanted to mention that I'm at Manhattan Edit Workshop today, and we're between 6-week workshops, and I don't have to turn on the giant fan to drown out my noise. So I don't know if the sound is any different, better or worse, but it's just like that thing is like a snowblower. And I'm always so concerned that like it's just incredibly noisy, and you guys always tell me you can't hear anything. But today it's very quiet. It's really nice.
I'm sorry, Josh, can you repeat everything you
just
said?
Hear you.
Didn't hear a thing you said.
You can't hear me
like
over
a
the noise?
snowblower.
Okay, thanks guys. All right, no, I'll give the perfectly SEO optimized introduction if you don't mind. In terms of video editing training, Manhattan Edit Workshop's been doing it for over 20 years. And we had a 4-week art of editing workshop that quickly became a 6-week art of editing workshop to make room for the artist in residence program. Sophia, you were just talking about, I think William Goldenberg was your artist in residence. He's a very oft searched editor, and people who are looking for him generally see content that we've made with him because he's done a lot of talks and stuff with us. And it's like I don't know, I'm glad we did it originally because it was a way to sort of, meet people really in the industry and get their stories and how they built their careers. And it's also been just a really great way to sort of start your network, which I think starts in the 6-week class. So I think because you're working with another classmate right now, we were discussing, we can talk about that later.
A couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the 6-week becomes your first job network. And you get into a position where you're hiring, you're going to look for people that you trained with. And I don't know, there's something about the class that always, it's more than just how do you push the buttons and do this, that, and the other. It's really about how do you turn this dream into a reality. And I don't know, I'm glad it makes me feel good to talk to people who have made that happen. I'm going to throw it to Jason, who also is living the dream. He was a 6-week student who's now running this entire company. How do you feel about that, Jason?
Well, feel wonderful. No, it feels good. When we were talking before we turned it on, it was just for you to say you're working with people. Josh is absolutely right. I mean, we are still in contact with, I can't even tell you how many people.
Thousands.
Maybe 5. No, probably hundreds of people that like Josh will see them randomly somewhere, or I'll get an email randomly update or something like that. And so he's 100% right. The building of the community. And as we start talking about that, I mean, I could turn it to you, Sophia, but like usually we want to find out like how did you get to MEWShop? Where did you start? Where did you find this interest that drove you to want to learn how to edit?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a story, but I'm not from New York, so like coming to New York and wanting to do film, I had no connections or background. So just coming into that, MEWShop was really like I don't know where I'd be without like MEWShop and coming to the workshop. I'm from Minneapolis, so I grew up there. I went to school there. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do going into college. I wanted to get into storytelling. I started in journalism and just very quickly realized I was like, this is not for me. I don't even know, we're talking about events in history and countries now. I don't know, what I'm talking about. I don't know how to do this. And I left the program. I got into like a global studies program that I loved. I was learning about like all these different countries. I chose the Middle East as my area of focus because I just knew the least about it. And there were 2 courses at the end of it. One was learning about Palestinian film and literature, and one was Iranian society through film. And those two courses, I just learned so much, learning about, the perspectives of history and society and culture through film. I was like, I love this. This is what I want to do. This is an incredible way to learn. I was like, I want to come to New York. So I came to New York. I got an internship with a production company. I was then brought on as a researcher with them. So I helped with, a couple of projects through there. And when it was wrapping up, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. My background was not in New York. It was not in film. I loved working with the documentary production company, but it was a really small network. They didn't have projects. I didn't know where to go. And it was the person who had hired me there who told me, go to the Manhattan Edit Workshop, take the 6-week course, learn to edit, get into post-production. He's like, you will be more valuable. You'll find more opportunities. You will be paid more. Go do the workshop. So I did right out of that job. And AMC was actually recruiting through that workshop. And that's how, I was then connected with AMC. So I got really lucky just, in the time and place of meeting people. And that's been some of the best advice I got
No,
because I
no
really
such
didn't
thing
know.
as luck. No such thing as luck.
Yeah. Well, and you have to listen to the advice people give you. I mean, it's like he told everyone, go to the workshop. And I am just so thankful for that because, I don't know if I would have found it. I didn't consider post-production. I think I was the only person in my group that had never edited before. Yeah, I remember seeing an Avid when I was at the documentary company and oh, it looks, so cool and complicated and, fun. They're like, can you just, press play? I was like, how do I do that? So, and then to come out of that and be editing and then, get a job where I was working in Avid every day, it was really exciting. But yeah, that's, I was told, I was like, go do it. And I did. And I recommend it to everyone. I get a lot of people reach out to me and, just ask for advice and in how I got connected with AMC and, what to do. And I tell everyone to go to the workshop.
There
Well,
we go.
thank you.
We've got under our CRM, we've got a refer a friend. And
Yeah.
uh, thank you, Sophia. That's what we want. We want people to refer other people.
No,
Um,
it's really great. I mean, I've gone back I've done 4 workshops now, so
Yeah,
I'm a
you're
big
in.
fan of it.
You're like a level 5 in our courses.
Yeah.
Like you gotta.
Black belt.
No, thank you. Yes, it's not cold. This is more like martial arts.
Yeah.
No, it's look. If you're working, we're doing our job, right? That's really what
Mhm.
makes us happy is that you build a skill set and a vocabulary and an interest. And there are people who come through the class who realize this is not for them. And
Mhm.
I think it can be as valuable. We've had some directors who were interested in editing and they said, you know what, I'm not, I'm more of a producer or director. This isn't,
Yeah.
but I'm glad I understand how the process works. Only, but not to do it myself. Like
Mhm.
I feel like this isn't work that I would be good at. But yeah, no, I think it's like that's always the best thing for us is if you come out of the class and you can find a home and get to work and be happy and grow as an artist, that's like we've done our job.
Yeah.
So
What sorry, we're sorry, Ralph.
go ahead, Jason.
What are you doing like marketing stuff like Deborah? Like what are you doing at AMC?
Yeah, so I'm on the same in the same department as Deborah. So I actually just got a new position. So I'm a junior social content producer with the social team. But I came from the same side as Deborah, which was on like linear marketing and promos and trailers as an assistant editor. So I joined AMC as a post-production assistant. After 6 months, I was promoted to be an assistant editor with the same team. And then I just started this position about a month ago. So it's been really exciting because being on the social team, I'm editing, but you also get to, brainstorm and pitch ideas and film content and create the graphics and, do a little bit of everything, which I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think it's the only department that has that in the company. But yeah, so I'm on the marketing side.
And when you were going through the workshop, was there anything in particular that you liked more than something else? Anything stand out?
Yes, I really loved just the creative part of it. We got all the materials to work with. I remember in the Tully scene project, I like mixed all of it up and tried to make my own little movie from it, which didn't turn out very well, but it was so fun to just like try to to get to do that. And I remember sitting there being like, I can't believe this is a real job. Like I felt like a kid again. I'd be like in my kitchen where my desk, my computer was, because I'm in a studio, and like editing late at night and, just watching it back and thinking, like trying out different music tracks. And, I remember thinking like, I'd never considered this. I didn't know it was a job, but I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, it's just fun and having the creative freedom, to do what you want. And then working on, the donut project was probably my favorite, where I think I did the best in like of the projects that I created because I just was able to have a lot of fun with it. I tried to color it all myself, which made it a little bit too heavy, so it exported funny, but
For
it
our
was fun to
tens
work
of
on.
thousands of millions of subscribers, and by the way, I should take the time to say, please like, follow, subscribe, comment. Can you tell us a little bit about the donut project and the other project that you're talking about? What is the task?
Yeah, so and this was, I mean, it was broken up into I think it was 2 weeks of Premiere, 2 weeks of Avid
Mhm.
editing, and then the last 2 weeks you could choose what you wanted to do. So in the Premiere part of it, one of the assignments was we got some of the I don't know what you call the footage, but like the full footage from Tully and a movie from like I think it's from the early 2000s, and so we got to put together a scene from it. And I had never seen the movie, so I just grabbed the footage, watched it all through, and tried to write something out myself and construct it into my own scene. But it was really interesting because at the end of the project, which was maybe just a few days, we'd watch everyone in the course and what they did and critique it, and so I got to see everyone else did the scene as it was supposed to be, and it looked really seamless and
So I have a
mine was
question
a little bit
about that.
choppier, but it was fun. I
Well,
had
but
a lot of fun making it. I
so
remember that.
this is a remote, so you're doing this remotely. So it's a two-part question here.
Yeah, I did it remotely because during COVID.
Right. So what was the experience like of working in a group and the camaraderie, right? Like, because there is this experience where you all watch each other's cuts together
Yeah.
and you're like, I never would have thought of that in a million. Like, there's like sort of because everyone's interpretation is different just by definition. But the sort of, that conversation that happens between people. So it's like, how did that feel happening remotely? And, what was it like to see your version of Tully through somebody else's eyes?
I was actually nervous to do it remotely because I really like people and I like, being in person sometimes. But once we got started, like it worked really great. I don't feel like it would have been that different. And I think I actually liked being remote because I could just take the time I wanted to work on stuff. And I also don't always like people watching me work. So I could try out things and not, be like, oh, this looks bad. I'm just gonna, scrap it and do something else. And then for critiquing, like just, it's like everyone had their cameras on pretty much the whole course, which I think, is really helpful. And my course, I think they had said was the first time it was like all women, like in the workshop. This was a couple of years ago. But it was just such an incredible group of people and they were really supportive. And like I said, I think all the other girls were more experienced than I was. So I felt like I just really got to learn from them. There was one girl in the course, she was an actress, and I can't remember who gave us the advice, but they were like, actors should learn to edit because it helps with their acting, and editors should take an acting course because it will help like with your editing. And so, I think she had been talking about it and the way that she did the Tully scene, when we were critiquing, she spoke about just coming at it from an actor's perspective and trying to honor, the actress and the performances. And it wasn't something I even thought about. I was like, I don't care what the actress thinks. I'm picking what I want. So it was a whole different approach in a number of ways, but I just remember she did a really great job with it. Um, and I remember like saving her name. I was like, okay, I'm gonna, look this up again and like try to, take another go at it, kind of off what she did. And,
Was
it
her
just was
name Demi
inspired.
Moore or
Her
uh,
name was also Sophie. I remember it because of that. I was like, like, no, it's a pretty common name, but I remember that she was,
Meryl Streep? Is that
yeah. No, it was really great and she did a good job. And I think when people were critiquing, I was really I don't, I get very nervous like showing my work and presenting things sometimes. And especially just, being less experienced, I was nervous and this was one of the earlier projects in the course. But everyone was really supportive and I think they offer feedback, not in a way that felt like it was taking you down, and kind of recognizing where you're at. One girl was a comedian, and she spoke a lot about that and the way she looks at timing then, so different than the rest of us. So I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed, critiquing theirs and seeing it's like, how do, I don't know if we were six people, make the same scene and make it differently, or what music do you choose? And each time, each project, there'd be someone else. I'm like, oh, I think she's the best. This time I really liked hers. And so
Mhm.
I was nervous about that part of it. That part did not excite me, like the critique side of it going in. But it ended up, I really enjoyed it.
Okay, because there's no, just so you're clear, no one wins. No
Yeah.
one does the best.
If you can't tell, I'm a bit competitive.
Yes, but like, you're
He's
like,
my
hey,
favorite.
was I like, did I win that one? Or was I like the two or
Yeah.
three? Like, no, it's like, that's what's so great is like, there's a million ways that you can interpret. It's like better interpretations or
Yeah.
more sort of like successful interpretations and less successful
Yeah.
interpretation, right? So, and that's all, it's beautifully subjective. Like it
Yeah.
really, if you can make your vision work, it works.
Probably one of the smartest things I've ever done for my career. It gave me all the tools that I needed to be able to jump into a new career. Getting myself into a mindset, thinking like an editor, and being around people that I can talk to on that level was really invaluable to me.
A lot of the things that I learned from that class, I still think about.
I loved the classroom. I loved the computer stations. We built a sense of community.
And it also instills a lot of confidence in you to take that and go out into the world.
After I took the class, I felt very prepared to take the next step.
I owe Manhattan Edit Workshop the career that I have right now. Things have been going great, and I really have the Manhattan Edit Workshop to thank for that.
So you also had William Goldenberg as your
Yes.
artist in resident. That was another cool thing about pandemic era classes. We were like, well, I guess we're not having in-person artists in residence anymore because nothing's in person. And we're
Yeah.
like, but you know what? We can ask someone who we like would otherwise either have to fly in or like just kind of hunt around for an editor who was in New York. Either that's
Mhm.
where they were based or they happened to be here cutting something. And it completely opened up our, ability to ask anyone from anywhere because all they have to do is what we're doing now. It's just like hit, join Zoom and
Yeah.
they're there in real time. So I'm sure Goldenberg's based in LA, right, Jason? He's not,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah, and he's always busy. So
He
Right.
was
So like
working,
this,
he was at his office when we talked to him, and I thought it was really cool just to see, like, he was
Mhm.
working on something big. I forget what it was, but
I think he was probably
I
working on
remember
that.
the office he was
Yeah,
in.
I
Yeah.
think it was that Nike Michael Jordan like Air Jordan movie, maybe.
Cool.
I don't
I
know.
just did a clip of that for my work, actually. That's funny. Yeah.
wait, I thought oh, it was the movie, the Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it was Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, I think, were the main
Okay.
people.
Oh, that one. No, no, I thought you meant
Yeah, it
like
was
the
like that
animated,
Amazon Prime,
not the
I think.
cartoon one that was horrible, like the Space
Space
Jam
Jam.
sequel
Oh,
that
not
was like
Space Jam, and that was with LeBron.
it was the one, yeah, yeah, it was the one about the founder of, right? It was like the sort of the birth of Nike
Of
of the
the
Air Jordan.
sneaker
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
revolution.
I
Yeah.
got you. I got you.
Mhm.
Okay. I haven't had enough coffee. You can
So Sophia,
catching up.
tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
So right now, I have just a little bit over a month in my new role. So it's been exciting. And like right now, I'm just, trying to learn as much as I can and, learn from the people I'm working with. But so I'm a junior social content producer. And so we're creating like all of the content for AMC networks across a number of platforms and social media. And so, we'll do shoots with people, like promotional shoots. There'll be, events that we'll go to, and then some of it is just, creating content from the shows and clips and graphics, and it's exciting because it's a lot of different kind of stuff, and that's what I love. I love to do like a little bit of everything. I'm graphics is the area I'm like I want to, get better at that because I haven't done quite as much.
Are you actually
Are you
shooting stuff? Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Josh. Oh, you
No, it's
are.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah, no, that's been that's why I did the DSLR video and production workshop this summer just because I love shooting stuff just, for myself and like shooting just different kinds of photography and video. And in this team, it's like they're shooting a lot of their own stuff. Some of it's coming from the show, some of it's from production. So it's kind of like you're sourcing stuff from everywhere. You're putting together, what you can, you're pitching ideas to see, can we shoot this? Should we get it from someone else? Should we? So, it's fun to just kind of see how they work, and which I'm still figuring out. But yeah, it's been exciting.
So were you able to go to Chad when you took the DSLR class and say, look, this is the application I have for the discipline. Like I'm going to be because you go in there, you don't know if you're going to be, oh, I want to shoot long form documentary here. I want to learn how to use cameras for that versus short form promo. It's like this is very much a work related um, exercise.
Yeah, well, and when I did the course, that was in June. Um, So it's been almost a year actually. And at that point, I was just as an assistant editor, I'd been an assistant editor for almost 2 years. And I was just, feeling I was like, I want to keep learning. I want to keep doing more. And as an AE, it's like it's very specific the type of work you're doing and you're supporting the editors. And I just not really been creating a lot of stuff. So it was kind of my way to be like, I love the workshop. I love working with cameras. I've done a lot of photography. I've taken photography courses when I was in college. I have a couple different kinds of cameras, but I was like, I hadn't done as much video. I've never done audio production. And I was just like, I want to know how to do it. And so I went back and it was a DSLR class, which I had like a Canon DSLR camera. But we talked about a lot of different kinds of cameras. So I felt like it was very applicable to, different kinds of work. And that course, there were maybe only 3 people in the course, which was really cool because we all got to work really closely then. And one of the, we were all like different levels. There had been one man in the course who, was like a professional and he was just coming back to kind of build on his skills. And he's like, I'm like self-taught, so I want to just know, what I'm really doing, even though, he had this huge rig he brought in and was shooting stuff. And I had my, little DSLR from college. But it was really cool. And then, it's like now that's been kind of applicable to what I'm doing now. And, we're working with all different kinds of cameras. I just did, usually when we'll do a shoot, there might be different kinds of cameras. So I was just running the GoPro on one of our last shoots, which was my first time using a GoPro, although it's pretty easy as far as cameras go.
Does AMC have like a warehouse where you just walk in, take what you want, and then leave?
We have a closet, but more for like the social and content teams. I
Closet,
don't
warehouse,
the studios, I'm sure, have their own. The studios are going to have everything. We have a big closet though, so it's been fun. I always wonder, it's like I would always see the social team when I was an assistant editor, like, what are they doing? And they're carrying around, different kinds of equipment and lights and shoots. And, it's a team where it's like you're really trying to figure out how to make things work, sometimes with very little notice. And, it's like what can you do? And as opposed to, some things being like very planned, like a, bigger shoot for a show. And yeah, but we've got a closet.
Josh, Jason, before we get to takeaways, do you want to discuss any other topics?
Well, GoPros are great. What are you talking about? I was actually this is off topic. I was trying to, I mean, you can see how beautifully dressed the background is here, but I've been experimenting using DSLRs, like a, mirrorless interchangeable lens Sony for a camera because the backgrounds will be out of focus without using like the fake zoom effect. And then I was like, well, maybe a GoPro works. And I was kind of startled at how good it looked as a
I was
webcam.
too.
Yeah, it's really like, it was, you really had to, in order to make it, because sometimes I use a teleprompter, like a little phone, you put your phone in the teleprompter and you just put that over your camera. But the GoPro is so wide that it sees like the edge of it and you can go into the software and adjust it. But you only have like 3 choices in terms of making it, telephoto or normal or wide.
Yeah.
And it's like some cameras you can sort of slide that field of view because it's all digital anyway. But I don't know. I loved it. I mean, it's so tiny. I can't believe it can do all that stuff. But anyway, that's just me selling GoPro because they need my endorsement.
Sponsored by GoPro, Manhattan Edit Workshop.
No, that's all I've got. I'm glad you're learning all kinds of things. I just wondered if you came in from a journalism background thinking that you were going to do long form nonfiction or something, and like the kind of editing you're doing now is really interesting because it changes all the time. It's high energy, it's short, but are were you thinking you were going to be doing other sort of stuff? And do you aspire to do other sorts of work too?
I definitely do. I came to New York thinking like I want to be a filmmaker, not really knowing it's like I don't know what that means. I was like, I'll direct, I'll produce, I'll shoot, I'll write it. It's like everyone, coming here is like doesn't, it's like I didn't know what I was talking about. And I think like scripted and like long form film television is something I'm definitely interested in learning about. I've never, really talked to people who have done it. And so it's definitely something I'd be, interested in breaking into. And when I watch stuff now, like since I took the workshop, I watch stuff differently. And sometimes I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I want to hear about this. I want to learn about it. How cool would it be to, edit that? And I think working short form is a really great way to learn because you're just doing stuff, you're kind of just thrown into it sometimes and you're like, figure this out and you have to do it. Where I think, maybe breaking into scripted. I don't know, but it might be, just more difficult and take more experience, or sometimes there's just opportunity to really, get your hands on stuff working with short form. But it's definitely something like breaking into scripted that I would love to learn more about. I loved working in documentary, so, it's like I don't know, how that would differ from working with scripted. And, I worked a little bit with the editors when I was at, the documentary production company, but, I didn't learn as much about their process. So there's a lot that I, still want to continue to learn about. I also am really interested in getting into, different kinds of like fashion editorial and campaign videos. My mother-in-law is a fashion designer, and so we're working with her on helping bring her brand like online and digital, and working with the campaigns. And I think there's so much creativity you can do with that in short form and storytelling and stuff that's so beautiful and artistic and stylized. And that's another thing that I'd love to break into. And hopefully you'll see me back at the workshop soon. And I'll do like coloring and more graphics.
Da Vinci is waiting for you. We do so many of those classes now. It's like, and we're getting all kinds of requests for Fusion, which is also totally weird. But
Yeah.
yeah, Da Vinci, you might want to learn how to edit in Da Vinci. I think it's going to take over the world. I don't know.
I think we did 1 or 2 days of Da Vinci in the 6-week course, and I loved it, but it was so frustrating. And I tried to use it on my own afterwards because I think it's free.
It is,
And
yeah.
it was really difficult. And then I got upset and I was like, I'm just gonna color it in Premiere. So I'll
You
be
got
back
plenty of
because I
time. You
love
got
color.
plenty.
That's something I definitely want to learn more about is
Mhm.
coloring. I think is just fascinating and so fun, but very challenging.
Sure.
I
All
mean, if
right.
you could edit Avid, Da Vinci shouldn't be. It's just it's just different. That's all.
Yeah.
So, Sophia, we usually ask as we wrap things up, what would be the one, or maybe more than one, takeaway that you would either give advice to that someone who's watching this up, once again, of the thousands, if not millions of subscribers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, follow, et cetera, et cetera. What would be the one takeaway that you would give to an aspiring person that wanted to get into the industry? And then Josh, and then Jason, and we'll wrap things up.
I was thinking about this yesterday. I think that my takeaway and to getting me like where I am now is to really just be like you have to really go after what you want. You have to be very clear about it and tell people, but also just while being open to different opportunities. And I think for me it was like I knew I wanted to be in film, but I never would have known I wanted to get into editing. When I was doing the post-production work, sometimes I was like, I'm in marketing and I'm QCing these trailers. I'm not, working with people. I was like, I'm not sure how, there's a while I was like, how is this relating to, my larger goals? And feeling like a little bit like I was getting off the path or stuck. But I think, it's like really making clear what you want to people and, going after that. Has been what's really helped me. And I connected with a lot of the editors and producers and creative directors at my work. And I told them, that I wanted to edit. I told them what I was doing. They told me they were like, okay, show us a trailer, make one, show us what you can do. And I did that and I showed them. And it's like it's what's helped me, get to where I am. I think people really want to help. But it's like they won't do it for you and they won't push you if you don't, tell them what you want. And sometimes it's like different opportunities will get you places you just don't know where they're heading. So I think that's, been my big takeaway from, getting to where I am.
Great. Josh.
Just impressed that you had, in preparation for today's talk, watched other talks so that you had actually, you were just like, well, what would my takeaway be?
Yeah.
And you gave it some thought. Like, because normally people are just like, what? Um, be nice. Like, it's like, oh, I'm not saying people, I mean, everyone comes up with their own, but that was really great. And it's true. Like, every person who has, you know, they've always had their, I don't want to, it's like their own version of their eyes on the prize, right?
Mhm.
It's like you can see that goal, you you just, and it's like, here's how I'm going to achieve that. It's not a mathematical equation when you're in the arts, right? But you can put yourself in a position where you can find good fortune. We don't like to call it good luck or getting lucky, but you can put yourself in the right place at the right time so that when an opportunity presents itself to you, you're there. And that's not good luck. That's
Mhm.
that's preparedness and being clear about what it is that what you want to do. And in some ways, sometimes flexible about what you
Yeah.
want to do, because you might say like, well, this isn't exactly what's on my roadmap, but you know what? It sounds kind of interesting. And what would happen if I did it? And then what would happen if I didn't, right? So yeah, very thoughtful stuff. Thank you. I mean, am I supposed to give my takeaway? I forget. Is that the
That
structure
was
of
your
this?
takeaway. You just
That was
gave
my
us
take.
your
Oh,
takeaway.
takeaway. Great answer. And as my son watching Tim and Eric on TV with me at night would say, great job.
Thank you.
Jason,
Uh, sure. I would say, and not to sell the school and all the great things we do there, but my takeaway is that you are interested in keeping yourself you keep educating yourself. You keep wanting to learn and like, you went for the DSLR class, which ultimately you weren't shooting really other than in your spare time, and now you're shooting. Like, and now you're talking about doing other things. Like, I think that it's just a testament that like staying hungry by learning new things and keeping ahead of the curve, you're going to keep going on. And I think that's just I think that's commendable. Besides that, you keep coming back to us, but like that you want to keep learning and you want to, like you were talking about Resolve or whatever. And don't say Fusion because we still have limited people teaching Fusion. But
Yeah.
regardless, it's just it's a testament to who you are that you want to keep learning and keep going because you're going to keep expanding your tool set and keep it's clearly changed. Your job has already changed.
Oh,
So
yes. A couple
that
times.
yeah, that would be my take.
right.
Thank you.
I have to say it was a competition and Jason just won it right there.
Thank you. Oh, that's another thing. I did compete when I took the class. I'm not gonna lie. I appreciate you said that. I was competing with the other people in the class to
Yeah,
get a reaction from people. Someone to say,
exactly. You're
"Oh,
watching
I would have
everyone's
done that."
faces.
Yeah. So I know,
Yeah.
Josh, it's not a competition, but I
I never did what you did. Like, it's funny. Were you in Joe's class, Jason? You weren't in
no,
Joe's
I was
class. You were a
a TA
TA
for
in his class,
yeah.
right? So like he was one of these guys that like kind of always wrapped it up nice and had a button. Like even like the edit out of the last piece of text on the last thing was like, right? Like he just gave you that extra something. And
Yeah.
Spencer too, Spencer Morin, same kind of like, and it wasn't, I don't think they were trying. Maybe they were. I wasn't, I didn't perceive that they were trying to win anything or this but maybe that was just like, I want to be noticed here. I want this thing to be different in that someone goes, wow. Right.
Mhm.
So I think it's very healthy. And I think the environment's really nurturing. It's not just like you get a bunch
There
of
was
people in there who are just like,
Yeah, well, there was someone in my class that like would always do something where it was like completely outside. You were probably one of those people, Sophia, that totally did it outside of like something. And Josh would actually come to the class at that point. And I remember you're blown away by one of the guys did something that was like totally out of the box. You probably had seen the scene 100 times the same way. And I was like,
Mhm.
I couldn't. I didn't even think of that. It was like, yeah, exactly. It's
Well, look who's
competition.
laughing now, Jason.
Well, I don't know. He's a
Who's
nice
laughing?
guy. You probably know him. I'll tell you off camera, but like it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, Rob.
That's okay. Jason, tell everybody what they've won. Tell everyone what's going on at the Manhattan Edit Workshop.
All right. So coming up, we have a color event. We just shot it. It should be released soon. It's for color correcting commercials, and we also have we just talked with people that the editor and cinematographer of the Rings of Power. So that'll be coming out in May.
Fantastic.
And classes. We have tons of classes, 6 week and
Tons of classes.
Your 10th one is free. That's like we should
get
get a
the
punch
card?
card.
Yeah, you need a punch card. Do they get ice cream? No, they get coffee. So
We can get you coffee. Yeah, 10 classes gets you a free coffee. That's great.
that sounds good. Anyway, thank you so much, Sophia Grimbaum Flores. We really appreciate your time today. I'm Rafi Salem from Manhattan Edit Workshop. Thank you again, Josh Apter and Jason Banky, for making this the greatest highlight of my week. That's my takeaway. And we will see you all next time. Check us out at MEWShop.com. Check out our classes. We're on all socials. We're on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Just catch us wherever you can. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.